Welcome everyone. Before we get started, I just want to welcome you and give you just a quick little overview of the logistics of our service. So hopefully everybody, I want to make sure first that everybody, when they walked in, got a little rock or a broken piece of something. And if you didn't get that, I would invite you to get one now from CC or Bev right over there, because that's an important part of our service. And then in the middle part of our service, there'll be a time of sharing. And for that time of sharing, if you'd like to tell a story or just share a memory, I'm going to invite people to come up to this microphone, but to keep your mask on, since we're all going to be sharing the same microphone. Things we never thought we'd have to think about, right, or talk about. But as we kind of settle into this space, I'm just going to invite us to open with some music to center ourselves and prepare ourselves for this time. Beloved community, we gather together this evening supported by Mother Earth, contained by the light of Christ, and calmed with the promise of awakening of the Buddha. Traditions of the spiritual and physical world meld together to offer sanctuary in our experience of collective grief. This is a sanctuary without doors, without limits, without amnesia or ignorance. In the openness of the prairie land, we absorb the knowing that surpasses all understanding, that seeps into our bones and runs hot through our blood. We are connected. Before time and beyond time, we are connected. With this gift of eternal interconnectedness, our grief finds structure in the architect of a divine presence, witnessed in the birth of a meadowlark, the blossom of a black-eyed Susan, and the harvest of the mullein. We are earth-risen, soil-shaped, and soul-embodied in this sacred space. My breath is your breath. Just as the song of the meadowlark is the beating of our heart and the slither of the snake is the journey of the soul. In this place we learn that life is promised in the possibility and potential of birth, just as it is promised in the possibility and potential of death. In her death, Clea has surpassed our lived experience in the regenerative cycle of physical embodiment. She has progressed and evolved into a force present and active beyond our contextual understanding, and yet we gather together in this place because we have faith in a sacred regenerative cycle that offers us no choice but to participate. It is prairie faith that our only boundary as created ones are those which this regenerative cycle builds around us. That we are death formed into life and life fallen into death, only to be reformed, renewed, and reconciled to the truest of our spiritual self. This evening's gathering is a ritual of regenerative visioning. It is a controlled microcosm of that which we experience each day, the pattern gift of a life constantly in transition. We hold broken pieces this evening not as a reflection of Clea's brokenness, but of our own, in the presence of the limitations of our knowing. Brokenness that cuts and bleeds, leading us to identify the opening of new pathways for seeing and being present in a world we have so little understanding about. We hold these broken pieces to remind us of the painful realities of regeneration and our responsibility to be vulnerable for the sake of reconciling our past relationship with Clea to our future relationship with Clea. Storytelling exists as central to our ritual, for it reopens memories that we now reflect on and re-engage with as a means to resurrect that which is now absent. The hug, the smile, the laughter, the sound of a familiar voice on the other end of the phone. My story, like many stories here, is one of helpful helplessness. Death tends to take with it more than the person we lose. It takes a piece of us too. The last text message I sent Clea still remains on my phone. It reads, "Praying you're home with your kiddos," to which she never replied in text, but now replies to in presence. We break in the loss of life as it is and remain broken. We listen to common threads in the stories told in the circles around us, and we hear healing. We practice what we learn as a means of resurrecting a physical life now transitioned, and in this practicing, we plant. We plant brokenness as we would seeds. In soil we have prepared, in a space we now tend, we have hopes of what will grow, but no predictions of its certainty. This is not a spring planting plan. There are no seed cellars or charts to construct. We will lean on one another and learn together what it means to harvest soul seeds and cultivate blossoms of unfinished dreams. Here we rest and wait and place our hope in the growth of all that we remember.
This is sonnet number 94 by Pablo Neruda. If I die, survive me with such sheer force that you waken the furies of the pallid and the cold. From south to south, lift your indelible eyes. From sun to sun, dream through your singing mouth. I don't want your laughter or your steps to waver. I don't want my heritage of joy to die. Don't call up my person. I am absent. Live in my absence as if in a house. Absence is a house so vast that inside you will pass through its walls and hang pictures on the air. Absence is a house so transparent that I, lifeless, will see you living, and if you suffer my love, I will die again.
We begin our time of sacred story sharing with Clea's naming, the reading of her obituary. Clea Danon Edelblute was born February 14th, 1976 in Seattle, Washington, and died June 9th, 2020 in Aurora, Colorado, in the presence of her loving husband of 16 years. Clea Bolscher Zeisdorf, did I get that right, Tony? Thank you. Married Anthony Tony Edelblute on June 20th, 2004, before which they got 2 cats, and after which they had 2 children. She earned an MFA in creative writing, and under the pen name Clea Danon was the author of several nonfiction books centering around the theme of connecting spirituality with nature. Her book, Sacred Land, Gardening for Personal, Political, and Environmental Change, was a Forward Book of the Year finalist in 2007, and in 2008, Sacred Land earned the Independent Publisher Book Award, Bronze Medal, for Most Likely to Save the Planet. She was a community activist who co-led the successful passing of the city ordinance that allows Aurora residents to keep chickens in their backyards. Most recently, she earned her K-12 teaching certificate and was a beloved teacher at Denver Options, a homeschool enrichment program through Denver Public Schools. She is survived by her husband, daughter Sophie, son Harper, mother Janice Boschert, brother Maxim, Tony, I'm not going to get this right, I'm sorry, Boschert, and many members of her extended family. She was preceded in death by her father, Bruce. And so, with the reading of the life that Clea led, we remember that the richness jumps off of the paper and leaps out from our hearts. And so I open this time to you to retell your learnings from Clea, to share the seeds you hold and the brokenness you hope to plant. Things we never thought we'd have to do, right? Whenever you're ready, you're welcome to come and share.
I'm not ready, but my name is Cece. Clea and I were friends because of the chickens, because of our love for gardening, and for our love for this place. And I'm so thankful for her presence in my life still. I read her devotional, Living Earth, to beautiful women every single day, and it inspires me still. And so, Clea, we love you, and we're so thankful to know you.
Hello. Thank you. So I wanted to share a very specific story for Sophie and Harper. I met Clea in 2004 at Naropa, where she attended graduate school. She was in my class, and we would have these class meetings, for lack of a better term for it. Really, we would just like get together and complain and wish that things were better organized, and graduate school was hard. Anyway, what is on my heart to share is Clea, Earth Mama Goddess, archetypal mama that she has always been, had a vision, as she did for so many things. The vision that she carried with her the entire time that she was in school was that it was time to have children. And she spoke about that endlessly. She saw herself as a mother. And she was willing to fight for that vision. And she was willing to make hard decisions for that vision. She decided to leave that program so that she could focus on making, creating, birthing her next vision, which was you. And I had the honor and the privilege to witness that vision and feel that desire coming out of her so strongly that even though I don't know you in this moment, she has seen you forever. And anyway, thank you for the opportunity to share that. And Clea is so here.
Hi, my name is Jeremy, and that felt like a good segue. I met Clea in 2000 when Tony and I were going to Naropa together, and we all lived together in the house on Alpine Street the following year. And one of my clearest memories and favorites of Clea is sitting in a social gathering with 4 or 5 other couples, and I remember asking one of my favorite questions, some future-oriented, where do you see yourself? What are you hoping for? And as we went around the circle, it got to Clea, and she sort of paused and looked at me and kind of said, really? Like, you want me to be really honest? As if she could be any other way. I said, well, of course. And she said very similarly, she said, well, I want to have babies with Tony. I want to write books. I want to homeschool the babies. I want a garden. I don't need much more than that. She was one of a kind.
As I wipe the microphone off for the next person, I wanted to invite the live stream community to also post stories in the comment section. We would love to be able to read those and remember them as well.
I think that was my segue. It was my setup because the one thing I consistently think about with Clea is community. And I remember the very first time I met Jessica was around Clea's living room floor where we brought our babies together, and you were moving or packing, and Clea was writing books and raising babies, and I was overwhelmed with my babies. But Clea had that gentleness and an easy smile and a sweet laughter that kind of wove all the mothers that I met through Clea into this fabric that we have is called community. And I think that was her gift. She always connected us, and she was always this very grounded and hopeful, light-filled, and joyful person to be around.
My name's Rachel, and the first time I met Clea and Tony was at their house when we were first starting to homeschool our oldest, and I had no idea what we were doing. And it was a welcome to the Options program, and our first experience meeting any people that were also homeschooling at the time. And just, she was so welcoming. And then I got to know her through the parent cafe there at Options as I would try to overschedule my child because I thought he needed, you know, soccer and music and every other thing, and she's just like, just calm down, you know. He doesn't need to graduate college after kindergarten, you know, just relax. And she really helped me step back and look at what was really important, what we really needed to do. And at that time, my second born, Cynthia and Harper, were both in the preschool area playing together, and she just brought a calmness and helped me focus to what was really, really important. And I remember as I continued to have more babies, and every time I had a question or another mom had a question, I'm like, oh, you need to talk to Clea. She seems to have it all figured out. She'll calm you down and ground you. She was just somebody who could do that, and I'm really going to miss having her around to talk to.
My name is Jessica. I'm going to try. So I met Clea when Sophie was 18 months old, and she was writing like her second or third book, and we got together at the zoo, and she's telling me about Sophie and what a sweet kid you were. You were such a sweet baby. And so Jeremy, you were saying she wanted to garden and she wanted to have babies and she wanted to homeschool them, and I got to go on a lot of that journey with her. She was there. I had 3 babies after I met Clea, and she had Harper after we met, and we raised those babies, and then we homeschooled them together, and then she was my kids' teacher at the end. And she was such an important part of our lives in so many different roles. But the story I want to share, because it makes me laugh every time I think about it, was the day I went over to her house. Like, it was a pretty standard thing we did. And I showed up, and I had, she may have been pregnant. One of us may have been pregnant. I don't remember. I think she might have been pregnant with Harper. And it was summer, and it was hot, and Helen was like 2, and Sophie and Henry were like 5-ish, and Clea goes, you know, I was looking, and I think under this carpet there are hardwood floors. And I think we could just pull out this carpet and we'd have these like beautiful hardwood floors underneath. She's like, I'm not totally sure, but I think we should go for it. And I was like, okay, you want to rip that carpet? And so so that's what we spent the afternoon doing, was ripping up carpet while our kids ran around with the chickens in the backyard. And it was just such a Clea thing to do. And then she had these beautiful hardwood floors that she loved. And she was like that. She saw something that she wanted, and she just would take it and go after it and do and not worry about whether or not it was going to be perfect. And it was always beautiful. And so much in my life is beautiful because Clea was a part of it, and I'm gonna miss her so much.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Presley. I knew Clea for a really long time. She was a big part of my homeschool growing up. Obviously, my parents lived in Hawaii when I was really little, and we just one day packed up and went to Colorado, and Clea was one of the first friends I remember making. I've been best friends with Sophie for close to a decade now, I think. She's been a really big part of my life always. I really do wish I had a more significant memory to share with you guys, but one of them has really been standing out to me throughout this whole experience. So I, right now, am a journalism student at Santa Monica College, and I remember that I fell in love with the concept of journalism through interviewing, and Clea was the first person I ever interviewed. My dad thought it would be a good idea for me to practice and to learn how to interview people, and I was terrified, honestly. Everyone was scary. I was scared of saying the wrong thing, but Clea, as everyone has been saying, has always been calm and has always been a safe place. And so I wrote up a bunch of questions about her book and the legislation she wanted to push, and about her gardening and her experience with the natural world. And that was the day that I really fell in love with what I wanted to do, and now I'm doing so much, and I just know that I never would have been able to have stayed homeschooled this long and have the opportunities that I've had, and even discover what I want to do for most of my life if it wasn't for her and for her encouraging. And I was a difficult kid to homeschool, but Clea helped my mom stick through it all, and she was just a really big part of my development, and I just wanted to sort of put my thanks out there, even if it's not directly, for helping me become the person that I am and helping me be able to move more forward in my life than I ever thought I would be able to. But yeah, she was just an amazing, calm person. She shaped my life so significantly, and I really hope I can take that energy into my future and into the rest of my life. But, I just wanted to thank her and put that out there.
My name is Beth. I'm another one of the mamas who were a part of Clea's community. I see so many of the mamas here. I feel that I owe Clea so much. When we met, I was kind of coming out of religion and felt very spiritually ungrounded. And I feel like Clea is the person who put me on the path of earth-centered spirituality, and I will be forever grateful to her for that, because it's on that path that I've really figured out who I am, because the connection to the earth is the path to the ancestors. And I have so many stories, but the one that just came to mind, well, first, when I first met Clea, it was a playgroup with all the babies, and I just had this overwhelming sense of relief because I wasn't the only mama breastfeeding a toddler. All the other mamas were, and I was like, oh, I found my people. And then my daughter is named Sophia, and I remember talking about how we both came to that name thinking, oh, I never knew, hardly ever knew a Sophia, and just thought it was such a beautiful name. And I remember telling her one day, I was like, oh, this mom at the playground told me that Sophie or Sophia is the Jennifer of this generation. And Clea just laughed. And she said, I really think that these types of things get into the collective consciousness because it's what that generation needs. And Sophia means wisdom. And this must be what their generation needs. And Clea was wisdom to me as well. So, and I know she will continue to be a beloved ancestor. And I'm just so grateful that she's been in my life.
She gave me my life, and she's the reason I can fight. That's all.
Janice. I wasn't going to say anything. Maybe I shouldn't. No. But hearing all the things about wanting to have a baby and how it was something she wanted so much, and how she had things. She wanted to do a thing. Yeah, I can do this thing. So this was when she was in 6th grade, I think, and it was a real small number of kids in that classroom. And the girls, there were some real nasty girls, and she told me that she didn't want to go to school, and she told me that finally why, because she loved school before. And she told me that one of the girls wrote this thing out on a piece of paper, and this thing said, Clea, do you hate her or do you love her? And then they passed it around to the other kids, the other girls, and they had to check and whether they hated her or loved her. Well, there were more hates, and so that's why she didn't want to go to school. And so I talked with her teacher, and we got it worked out. And teacher told her in a nice way that whatever it was, she got it back to work. She got back to school. And so she told me all this whole thing about them. And she said, yeah, I wasn't going to go to school anymore. I had it all figured out. I would just go get a baby. not how or where, but I would just get a baby, and I wouldn't have to go to school. I could just stay home and take care of that baby. Just like that, I know what to do. I'm going to go get a baby and not go to school, And that's the kind of stuff she did all the time.
I'm Lucero. I didn't really know Clea that well, but she was always really kind, and she was a really great teacher, and I will really miss her. And I hope she's somewhere out there having a really nice time doing what she loves, and gardening.
Hi, my name's Danielle, and I'm a teacher at Denver Option. And I had the privilege of teaching with Clea. When she was earning her teaching certificate, she had to be observed teaching somebody else's class. So I had this drama class with little kids, and so I was like, sure, she could teach my class. And so I watched, and she helped these little kids write this fabulous little play. And there were scarves, and there were portals, and there was just so much cool stuff going on. I was like, I don't want to leave this class. I love this class. You stay and teach. She was such a gifted and beautiful teacher, and just really a super beautiful person who I ate lunch with her a lot, and you just wanted to kind of be by Clea's energy. And anyway, I'm gonna miss her so much. I do miss her so much, and that's all.
Hi, I'm Lene. I look out and I see so many of these beautiful faces and these little kids who have grown up knowing that Mrs. Edelblute loves them. And she did, and she does. And Clea and I worked together for a long time in a lot of different capacities. And one of my stories is each year I would go to different people and say, what do you want to teach? You will teach well what you loved. What do you want to teach? And she would say, well, I could do French, I could do English, I could do drama. I could probably do social studies. I could definitely do ecology. If you want some science, I could do science. And she'd leave it at that. And I would say, wait, I can't choose that. I can't choose one thing for you to do, because she could do all of those things. And she could do them beautifully because she did it from her heart, and it really did not matter what she was teaching. She was literally one of those people that can teach absolutely anything because she did it from her soul. And somebody else mentioned her love of community,
But she did it in such a gentle, quiet way that each individual person that she brought into our community felt like they were the most important to her. And as we had to call people that were very important to all of us and give them news that she wouldn't be there in the fall with us, one of the people I was talking to said, "Yes, Lene, she will be there. She will always be there." And that's true. She will always be there, and she will always be the master that could talk to any of our hearts. And that's what I miss the most.
We can hold on these stories in this sacred space as we transition to the planting of our stories and our broken pieces, that they might grow into something new. And so I share with you Clea's words. "A seed is the epitome of hope," she said. "Inside a seed rests life concentrate. Everything a plant needs to reach first down into the darkness and then upwards toward the light is held safe in the hard containment of the seed coat. Inside the suitcase of the seed coat waits a tiny future root, a tiny future shoot, and all the food the seedling will need to get started." Today we come not as gardeners, but as grieving friends, called to plant memories that will find roots in this community in which we will anchor ourselves in the hours, days, and years to come. Clea challenges us to look around. What seeds are nearby in this moment, she asks. We plant the brokenness we hold because we trust in the wholeness of what will grow in the absence of what once was beloved. And so during this time we will be transitioning down to the garden, and our ushers will be helping each household go one at a time. And someone will be down there to meet you, but we're going to circle down this pathway and then around the garden. And the last family will be Tony's family. And we will honor Clea's life and the journey ahead with the planting of a tree and the singing of a song. And so I send us into this journey with these words by Gregory Orr. "Not to make loss beautiful, but to make loss the place where beauty starts, where the heart understands for the first time the nature of its journey. Love, yes, the body of the beloved as the gift bestowed, but only temporarily, given freely, but now to be earned, given without thought, and now loss has made us